Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are going to talk about what the work actually is when it comes to self-work. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Flora, minimalism mentor, simplification coach, and 7-time author. For over 25 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life and a business that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear the 9 types of clutter keeping you from a life that you love. What are those 9 types of clutter? They are mental, spiritual, emotional, digital, financial, daily, body, process, and environmental clutter. My YouTube page is where I share my environmental decluttering tips, and here on the podcast is where I share and teach you how to declutter the rest. Please subscribe or follow this feed so you get notified every single time an episode is released. And today we are going to talk about what the self-work actually is so that you can get the life you actually want. And that's what this whole podcast is about. That's what this whole series is about, is how to create the life that you want by removing the clutter that is getting in the way. Well, that clutter comes in the form of things that we need to work on, whether it's environmental stuff like the excess pillows or the internal stuff like our mindset and some other things, which we're going to talk about today. So, what is a self-work? In a nutshell, it's really acknowledging something in yourself or your life that needs to be addressed for the sake of growing and for the sake of truly maturing in that part of your life. So you look at your life and you realize that you're not where you want to be or where you thought you'd be, or that you have a life that you maybe served you in the past, but now it's not really who you are. And, a few episodes ago, we talked about your pedigree. And sometimes when someone challenges their pedigree and realizes, I don't like this status quo, I want to change it. And so how you do that is you start exploring. And so, ultimately, the self-work is deciding that something has to change because you're not truly happy with the life that you have. You might be somewhat happy. You might even be really happy, but you're not deeply fulfilled. That's when you know when there's these little nuances that just aren't, they're just not what you thought they would be. And this usually comes with a feeling of being fed up with your situation, fed up with your surroundings, your job, your habits, your weight. The list can really go on. And this is usually like your breaking point. And your breaking point can look different for everyone. And I talk about this in my book, The 1 Degree Shift. I talk about how people chase happiness. And then all of a sudden they get to their breaking point. And their breaking point often is like somebody gets fired, somebody gets, I want a divorce or all these other things. But it doesn't have to be that. It can really just be you just get fed up with your life as it is right now, or a portion of your life as it is right now. And the self-work starts with the process of getting really clear on where you are and then figuring out what you want or what you want to be or what you are striving for. And then once you figure that out, then it's exploring new things and learning new things so that you can start to have those things in your life. You then begin to apply them into your life in the direction that you want to go. And again, it's about truly taking intentional action. This really happens when someone has the awareness and the understanding that they have the power to create their life. Okay, so I created this life, now I don't like it, or I don't like a certain facet of it, knowing that I have the power to change and knowing that I have the power to cultivate and bring new things into my life, let's do that. So once you recognize that your life has parts of it that are not ideal, that are not really what you want them to be, what do? So briefly, you acknowledge the parts of your life that you don't like, and then you get clear on what you do want in those areas of your life. Then you find solutions to fix it, and then you fix it. It's that simple. Now, simple doesn't always mean easy, and simple for some can be easy, but sometimes it means ending a relationship or stopping a career that you've built or that you've worked a long time for. Sometimes it means moving across the country or across the globe. So that can take a lot of courage, okay? Now, I talk about this process throughout my book, The 1 Degree Shift. The link is in the show notes. So now I'm going to walk you through how to actually figure out what exactly is going on in your life. And then I'm going to share with you how to find solutions so that you can fix the things that you don't like. Before I walk you through this, I want you to recognize that this is going to take bravery. It's going to take honesty on your part, and it's going to take a little bit of strength because you're going to have to stop avoiding things that you've been avoiding, okay? And this is also going to involve you saying, I'm done putting off my life until someday. I'm ready to have that life right now. First things first, we're going to do a self-assessment. So grab your journal. Feel free to pause and stop this as need be so that you can write the question down and then answer it. The first question is, what season of life am I in right now? Now, I know that I've asked you this so many times. I alternate the word season or phase. This is the container that your life is in right now. If you're not clear on the season of life that you are in or the phase of life that you are in, and you try to put things in the container that just are not meant to fit in that container, everything's going to be all wonky, okay? So what season of life are you in? Are you maintaining a job? Are you maintaining a relationship? Are you raising kids? Are you building a business? Are you dating? Are you trying to have kids? Are you an empty nester? Are you traveling a lot? Are you retired? When you get clear about the container that your life is in right now, then you can evaluate all the stuff that's inside the container, okay? So that's step one. Figure out what season of life you are in right now. Number two, this is where there's a lot of questions. Feel free to pause so that you can write the questions down and then answer them. The first one, where am I at right now? What does my daily life look like? What do I do on a daily basis? Who am I being? How am I showing up? What am I struggling with? What patterns do I keep repeating? What bad habits do I have? This is a big one. What do I keep avoiding? What do I keep avoiding? What do I wish I could change about myself? Where do I feel stuck? Once you write all of this out in a brain dump, then you can see all of the options that you have before you. Now, please don't let this list overwhelm you because this is actually quite exciting because you can see all the things that you've been honest about and all the things that have been getting in your way. This is the clutter that you can now start to clear. So the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to look at your list and I want you to group all like items together. So maybe you have several things about food on your list. All right, group all those together. Maybe you have things about relationships. Group all those together. Maybe you have things about business or your career. All right, group all those together. And when you group all them together, then you're going to see that when you tackle one area of your life, you're going to address and fix so many things once and for all, which is super, super exciting, okay? This is awesome. All right. Next thing is I want you to turn to a new page in your journal, and I want you to answer this series of questions. And again, feel free to pause this or stop it while you write down and answer all these questions. So the first thing is, what do you want your life to look like in this season? Again, if you're raising babies, if you're retired, if you're starting a new career, if you're ending a career, if you're maintaining your career, if you're looking for a new job, if you're in a new relationship, if you're dating, if you're single, if you're married, all the things. That's the container that we talked about in number one. So what do I want my life to look like in this season? What would my perfect day be like? And just literally dream big, okay? What would it feel like? Like, what would my life feel like? What would I do on a daily basis? What would my habits be? Who would my friends be? What would I eat? How would I show up to the world? Who would my mentors be? What would I read? What would I listen to? And what would I watch? Who would I follow on social media? What hobbies would I have? What would my attitude be like? What do I ultimately want? Now, once you've answered all of those questions, I want you to ask yourself these last 3 questions. And this is so good. It's so good. Who would I need to be in order to make this happen? Who would I need to be in order to make this happen? What new habits need to be put in place in order to achieve this? What new habits need to be put in place in order to achieve this new life that you want? And what do I need to address first to bring this version of myself into my current reality? What do I need to address first to bring this version of myself into my current reality? Again, this is where the self-work gets really, really good, because then you can start to recognize, wow, who do I need to be in order to make this happen? Do I need to be someone who's more positive or more optimistic, more forward-thinking? Someone who looks for opportunities where maybe I once didn't see any opportunities? When I did this work, codependency was at the top of my list that kept repeating and repeating and repeating. And that was the thing that kept me in the life that I wasn't happy with. And when I decided to do something about it, I realized that literally was the through line of all the major unhappiness in my life. And so 7 months and over 75 fellowship meetings later, I finally finished the 12 steps of Codependency Anonymous. And it wasn't until a year after that that I went on one single date with someone, and I'm like, no, I'm good. And then like a month later, I went on a date with somebody else and ended up dating him for about 3 months. And after that 3 months, I broke up with him because there were some red flags. And it was an amazing, amazing relationship, except for just these couple of red flags. And he was so confused because he's like, we haven't been fighting. It's going really good. I'm like, you don't have to fight with somebody to break up with them. But my old codependent self would have dismissed and overlooked those red flags. But I knew that I couldn't live with those red flags for the rest of my life. And so I'm like, I'm good. And I was okay with being by myself. I was okay in waiting for a partner that I didn't have to settle for. When you do this work, you raise your standards. You get clear on the quality of life that you want. And you truly begin to have the successes that you have always dreamed of. You start to feel so much fulfillment in the things that you do. And you start to have happiness at levels that you never even thought were possible in your life. And I've done this with my finances. I've done this with social media usage, with my business, with my spiritual practice. If you've been following this podcast, you heard my story about my 14-day sadhana or spiritual retreat that I did that started with a 5-day vow of silence. That was huge. That's doing the work. And when you decide to address the things in your life that keep getting in the way or that you keep avoiding, miracles truly begin to happen. I shared a quote at the end of last week's episode that said, the results you're looking for are in the work that you're avoiding. The results that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. Now, the work looks different for everyone. Next week, we're going to talk about trusting in yourself, what that looks like, and how it's really the key to true freedom. Today, I've given you a formula of how to actually start doing this work. Again, Number one, do your self-assessment. What container is my life in right now? What season of life are you in? And then get really clear about let that snapshot of your life. Where am I at? What habits do I have? What am I avoiding? What do I keep pushing under the rug? And then, what do I want? What do I want? And then ask yourself, who do I need to be in order to make this happen? What new habits do I need to put in place so that this can actually happen? And what do I need to address first so that this new version of myself and this new version of my life can come into my reality? This is huge when you begin to recognize that what you want is within your grasp. The results you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. Click the link in the show notes for a single session if you're ready to do this work with myself as your collaborative mentor to make some magic happen in your life. Let's continue this conversation and support each other in building the lives that you are not only wildly obsessed with, but that you are genuinely happy about and are filled with so much fulfillment. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I invite you to share your experiences with doing the self-work in the comments below. And if you're listening to this on any podcast streaming platform, feel free to email me, flora@florasage.com, to share your comments. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave a review. Your support helps this podcast reach more people looking to declutter their lives and align into a life they are wildly obsessed with. I hope this serves you today. And remember, all it takes is a clear vision of where you are, what you want, and the willingness to take one small degree of a shift every single day in that direction. I love you, and I will see you in the next episode. Mwah.